Hello guys, welcome back. So quickly I want to show you how to do your background manipulations in Photoshop. So today we're going to be using a particular technique that we have not regularly been using here. So if you have even seen any of our background manipulation videos, you definitely would still love to see this one because this is going to blow your mind. So this is the background we're going to be using in this particular one. I'm so excited. I can't wait to show you what the final result will be. So without wasting much of your time, let's quickly get started. The first thing I'm going to do is to crop the image, remove the excess seal, and get it ready for what we want to do. So I'm going to select my 4x10, 4x5 rather, and crop it the way I want it to be. So I think I'm going to give it a little space here. Because of the flower pot we'll have in the background, so we'll have space for it. Then the next thing I want to do is to clean up the background, right? If you look at our background, we'll have a lot of distractions going on, which we'll not want to keep. So what I'm going to do is that first of all, I'm going to make a selection of my objects, right? So once that is done, we'll separate her, then start filling up the background. Okay, so the selection is done, although not entirely all done. We'll just manually add the chair. And that shouldn't be a problem at all. Yeah, that shouldn't give us a worry. Okay, this works. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select inverse, so I can select my object back. Then make a duplicate and create a mask. So have it. Reload the selection, come back to the background, make a duplicate again. So we'll now have the object selected. I'm not going to expand in this one. I will just fill it up straight up. The reason I'm not expanding is because of our shadows. I notice that when you expand, at the end of the day, you tend to lose your shadows a lot, but that shouldn't be a problem for us, right? That shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so we've removed our object from the main background, although it looks messy, but that doesn't really, give a cause for alarm if we just merge this up. Right, yeah, just merge up these two, merge layers, then maybe use our remove tool or patch tool, whatever, to remove this part that doesn't feel so natural. So let me just remove this part. Okay, the problem with this is that it even removes the shadows that we are trying to protect. So I'm just going to do that removing manually, but let's allow the remove tool to whatever I want to do. Okay, so didn't work, so I'll just use my patch tool and remove this area. The reason I'm doing this is very important because I'm going to fill up the other excessive areas with whatever I have here, and if we don't fix this correctly, it's going to affect the final result of those ones. So we just do as much correction as we can before we move into the next one. Okay, we can work with this. So if I turn on my object, you'll notice that it looks like nothing was actually done. Then I'll use my lasso tool, my polygonal lasso tool, I guess, yeah, and just make a rough selection of the edges like this. Okay, so I'm going to now fill up the excess areas content aware. So what I'm trying to do is to make sure that I have a plain background across board. Yeah, that works. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the floor area too. Don't bother about what you are seeing here. That is our shadow. So if we remove it, every other thing is going to look mess up. So we're going to keep that. And I'm going to use my remove tool at this point to remove the excess wires and few other things that we don't think they are necessary. Okay, so let's fill it up. Okay, so if I load up my object again, you see that she's still perfectly seated. Now, let's bring in the background we want to use at the end of this. So you see we've been able to clear it up, right? So I'll come over here, unlock my background, I'll just drag it over to my object, place it directly behind her, right? So looking at it, my background is way bigger than my object, so we'll have to reduce all of that. Okay, just find a perfect place to position it. Okay, I think this particular area works. Press enter. Bring it down a bit. All right. Now we have few things to correct. Number one, the luminosity, which is the overall brightness, and number two is our shadow. On a regular day, what we would have done is to change this background to overlay, and if we change it to overlay, it's going to, literally blend in, but we'll now have to blur this one out, restore shadows. But I just want to show you another technique that works perfectly well. I'll place a black and white adjustment layer over here. So what this is going to tell me is that it's going to tell me, okay, your background is brighter than your object. Looking at it literally, the only place that the luminosity is matching is the chair, which is not what we want. We want to make sure that our object is matching the luminosity of the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a curve over my background and clip it on the background. So I'm just going to pull it down, just a blur like that. So if I turn off the black and white adjustment layer, notice that the brightness level is now practically the same. So we'll have few things to restore now: the shadow, and now do a global color grading and maybe some uniformity in the lightening. Okay. So I'm going to come over to this particular one we'll have here, make a duplicate of it, and drag it over I want to keep it above the curve, please. Shouldn't be. Yeah. So we unclip. Shouldn't be part of that. Okay. So once I keep it, I'm going to change blend mode to multiply. And once you do that, you just notice that your shadows comes back, right? But it's too dark. So what do we do? Very, very simple. We'll come over here, go to our levels. I think curves should actually still be able to do this, bro. We are working with the levels in this one. Clip it to that background and just open up the brightness, okay? Just open it up, right? So the opening up doesn't take away the shadow that will brings back. It just brings it back to what it was originally, okay? Just open it up like that. Okay. So this works for me. Let me do the before and after, the before, the after. So even if at this point you feel like, okay, I think I need to clean up some areas, it becomes easier, but I love the way pieces will be looking already. Then I want to brighten up my object just slightly, clip it on it, and just brighten her up a bit. All right, with that done, another thing I want to do is to reduce the focus on the background. We look at our image a little bit out of focus, and we wouldn't want the background taking the whole attention. So I'll just stay on my background over here. Use my rectangular marquee tool, make a selection just like this. Feather it maybe 66. Just a tiny bit of caution block should do the job for me. So keep it all around. Let's do it at 3. 3 is even too much. Good. That is still a bit too much. Right? Too much. So keep it somewhere around 0.5. 0.5 pixel. And once you are done doing that, the next thing we need to do is to match the lightning. If you look over here, you notice that a yellow light or an orange light is flowing in from here, but we're not seeing the effect on our object. So what do we do? Very, very simple. Come over here, go to our gradient, right? Make sure we are using a radial gradient, place it directly over here. Reduce the scale to make sure the lightning is just like this. Then make sure, change the colors to orange, right? So we'll have to stay somewhere around here. And this should definitely be a brighter version of the orange. Be somewhere here. Press enter. Press OK. Push it out in this. Then increase the scale to spill it in. So change the blend mode to anything that makes it pop. Okay. I like the linear light. So all I need to do is just to reduce it. Right? Just bring it down. This is the before. This is the after. So I think it's too reddish. I want it more warmer. So we'll just change the hue to something very, very warm, but not reddish. Get this somewhere here. Okay. Press OK. bring it inwards like that. Can even check other blend modes to see the one that even drives it home better. I think I like what this one does. Okay, we'll just keep working with our linear light. Then the last thing I'm going to do is to create a global color grading using our color lookups. Not selected color, is color lookup table. Yeah, here. So I'll just go through it and find the one that works better for our image. Excuse me. Find the one that works better for our image. I think I like the way this one looks, but is desaturating my... I have to turn this off so we don't get another call. Okay, so we just go through like this. The before, the after. Looking at it now, I think this is way too much, so I have to also bring it down a bit. So let's do maybe a very minute color grading. Go into our curves, increase the redness just slightly. Go into our greens, maybe a little bit of the magenta, and play with our blues, you know. Let's see what that gives us. Okay. Now. Okay, this works for me. So if I match everything up, looking at it, one more thing I want to do. So the edge of my hair is not entirely blending into what we have in our background. So I'll just use my brush, take it very low, and just clean the edge of the hair. Just slightly, like this. So that wouldn't take it away entirely, but that will make it fade into the background. And by doing so, makes it look realistic even though. All right. And we are good to go. So this is the overall before. This is the after. The before, the after. If you even want something maybe a bit more saturated and all of that, we can create a Ctrl-Shift-Alternate-E and get a stand visible layer. Go into our camera raw filter. So I think the background should pop out a bit. Then right inside my HSL, I'm going to find exactly the color of the background. So it has my orange in it too. So we just have to bring it down so she doesn't, become too orangish. Then go into my mask, select my background. So that should separate my object from it. Once I have that selected, I'll just increase the saturation of the background, especially the greenish area. And that should allow me have that color pop that I'm looking for down there. Okay, still selecting. Let's wait for it. Okay, unable to load the AI model selection. I don't know what really caused that. Let's see if we can use range, color range. Let's see if we can use color range too. So we'll go to sample color. So I want to sample this particular color right here. And this, in a way, touches my objects, which are the low ones. So we'll have to find another way to do that, okay? So I'm going to make a selection of my object. So there are many ways to do many things in Photoshop. I don't think there is anything in Photoshop that has just one way of doing. Right, select inverse and also share. So this allows us to do it manually, right? Go back into camera raw. So with this, we should only be seeing the background affected. So I come into I can even just go into the greens and just pop it up, saturate it up. I want it towards the cyanish area. Okay. gives you this shouldn't affect my object at the end of the day. Let's see. Good. All right. We can even use our hue and saturation right inside here and even push things up if we wish. Keep it still within the one tone. And we are good. Okay. So this is the overall before and after of everything we've done. This is the before. This is the after. This is the before. This is the after. And this is how you do your background manipulation in Photoshop using your hands. No AI, everything that one. Thank you so much for watching this amazing video. Do make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you subscribe, click on the notification bell to get notified every single time we drop a new video. Until then, see you on the next one.